Yay.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to all of you out there, and welcome back to my co-host, Carly.
Yay.
It was great having Blake here, but it is so good having the team back together. It's
Yes, I
been so
know.
long.
Shout out to Blake. Thank you. He was
Yeah, he did
wonderful.
an amazing job stepping in. But it's great to have you back, and it's also great to have Michael Bingham back. Hello.
Woo!
Welcome to the podcast, Michael, and congrats to Oklahoma City Thunder. NBA championships last night. I saw some really low wait times at some of the theme parks, and people were speculating it's because folks
Oh,
were at home
yeah.
watching basketball. So,
You know
and
what? The weather was really nice in most major parts of the country. So I feel like
yeah,
that also had a thing to do with it. People were grilling,
very
swimming,
good.
doing whatever.
Blossom and Michelangelo checking in from Derek's Co's corner, and you're absolutely right. We were stunned this weekend. You know, it's the summer solstice. It comes around at the same time every year, but it's always amazing to me that it's like 8:45, and I can still read outside without light.
Crazy.
It's nutty.
Well, wait till I tell you about Alaska because
Oh, I can't.
8:45 is
Yes,
nothing.
nothing. Yes, Carly has been on a lot of adventures, and we're going to hear about some of them just as soon as we kick off this recording. Seeing to see if we have anyone else who wants to comment. I'm going to give it just a few more seconds. And yeah, Michael Bingham's definitely excited that you are back.
Woo!
So are Blossom and Michelangelo.
Thank you.
We've got over 50 people watching live. So why don't we go ahead and jump right into this thing in 3, 2.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. I am Seth.
And I'm Carly.
And we are here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what's going on in our own lives. And Carly, it is so good to see you back. Blake did a fantastic job filling in as co-host for the last few weeks, but it's great to have you back, and I can't wait to hear about some of your adventures.
Yes, I'm so happy to be back too. I missed you. I missed everyone. I wish Wi-Fi was reliable when traveling, because I would totally do this in a hotel, but the few times I've attempted it, it has done me dirty. And I just, oh God, it gives me so much anxiety, but I'm happy to be back.
Better to focus on your adventure, and then you come back and tell us about it.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Where have you been lately?
Yes. So I went for my first time to Alaska on a Disney cruise.
Amazing. So for people who have always dreamed of an Alaska cruise, maybe found it really intimidating, what was the experience like?
You just put the nail on the head, my friend. I spent so many years wanting to go. It's one of those trips I've wanted to do, but it's a lot. We are professional travelers in a sense as journalists. It was the most overwhelming trip to plan for. I read so many articles, videos, and still it wasn't enough to kind of grasp or prepare. I mean, just even from a packing standpoint, because the weather varies from like 80 degrees to 30 degrees. So it's one of those trips that was just like really overwhelming. But it was amazing. I just have to say, I'm not an outdoorsy person. I don't camp. I don't think I've ever fully appreciated nature. The amount of time, honestly, my favorite part was just keeping my veranda door open and looking outside.
Wow.
There were so many things to talk about, but that was my favorite part. It was so beautiful and so peaceful, and the air was so crisp. But I had fun, it wasn't boring. I just didn't really know what to expect. It was amazing. And I feel like to have that familiarity of the Disney, you're comfortable with Disney, but you're also pushing yourself outside your comfort zone to do maybe more adventurous stuff. I mean, certainly that's the case for me, as a not adventure-y girl. It was honestly one of those most amazing trips, kind of on par with going to Africa, that, up there. The way I have thought about it so much is it was almost like being on a short cruise and then going on an Adventures by Disney. because
Mm,
your days in the ports are really long than a trip like,
okay.
a Caribbean cruise. One
Mhm.
day, I think we were in the port till like 9 PM.
Okay.
So you really can go do as much adventurous excursions, you can explore town. It really was more like a European cruise style than
Mhm.
a Caribbean, and, I've been on, like,
Right.
20 Caribbean cruises, so it was very different. I have to say this is my last Disney ship that I had to do, the Disney Wonder. So
Yes.
now I've done them all.
Okay.
That
And
is
this
also
is the same class as the Disney Magic. It's one
yes,
of the
so it came
original
out
smaller ones.
yep, about a year after. Gotta
Mhm.
tell you, I love the Magic and Wonder, and I
So
think
charming.
I've been on the Magic twice now and now the Wonder. I think they're my favorite ships. There's something about
Mm.
the intimacy of
They're
it.
cozy.
They're cozy.
Yeah.
Within an hour, you know your way around.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
And I what I love is in the bigger new ships, whether it's Disney or Royal Caribbean, I feel like I'm either in a theme park or a casino out at
Mhm.
sea. On these ships, I feel like I'm on a cruise. And if I'm taking a
Mm.
cruise, I want to feel like I'm on a cruise, It
Mhm.
has the Wonder and Magic have that classic ocean liner feel,
Yes.
but with
Yes.
Disney Magic like infused
Yeah.
throughout. I have to say, all the cast members are always great on a Disney cruise. There must be something magic in Alaska or something
Mm.
because every single person was like the cheeriest and it wasn't put on. They were so
Well,
friendly. I mean, it
and with
was
those smaller ships, you really get time to get to know the
yeah,
staff.
absolutely. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
every night we went to the Princess and the Frog, Dr. Facilier bar, and which is Soul Cat, if you've been on
Mm.
other ones, Scat Cat Lounge.
Mhm.
And we got to know the people there and chatted, and it really was get
Yeah.
just such an intimate experience that you can't do on a high volume ship. You
Yeah.
can't do that in Icon of the Seas because they're busting their butt making so many drinks for people. It was amazing, and to do it, a lot of cruise lines go to Alaska.
Mhm.
But again, it was just something about like I felt comfortable with the Disney thing to
Right.
push myself outside of my comfort zone. It stays light out till like 11 p.m.
That's incredible.
Which is
Yeah.
crazy. So crazy. And again, like just seeing a glacier up close, seeing
Oh,
Minnie
yeah.
in her outfit, characters are a big deal.
So the experience on the boat, on any Disney boat is amazing, but was there a particular port experience that, you could tell people, like, if you go and do this, this is the one thing you have to do?
Yes. So there's so much. I'm a history person. I also am very into like ghosts. So
Mm.
there's so many historic places, former hotels, former brothels. So I think one of my favorites was in Skagway. We went to the Red Onion Saloon, which was a brothel in the 1800s, and it's a
Okay.
restaurant and bar now. But the upstairs, they preserved the brothel, and you can go for a tour. It was $20. It was the best historical tour. They call it a quickie, which is hilarious. They call it a quickie, and just to learn about that period of time and how much like these women were putting up with so much, but they were making the money. These
All right.
miners had no money, and these women
Maybe
were
maybe don't take the little kids
yeah,
on that
don't
tour.
I mean,
For
it's very
adults, that's
clean.
very
It's very, very clean, but, yeah, I mean, there's so much history. I love Skagway, and it was just so interesting because it's a seasonal town. So the rest
right.
of the year, it's I think 800 residents,
And then
thousands
it
come in
explodes.
to work, and it was we actually that was the port we were there till like 9 PM, and
I
we
know
met
there's been a lot of controversy in Alaska with some towns pushing back against the tourism. Did you feel any like or observe any like negative effects or
well,
overcrowding kind
you
of
know
things?
what? Everyone that we met was a seasonal worker, so
Mm.
they were just in really good spirits and
Mhm.
happy to be there, and I have to tell you, it was, like, the most loveliest people. I can't imagine just picking up my life and being like, "I'm going to work in Alaska for the
Right.
summer." Everyone was just so, like, happy and passionate and, like, welcoming, so I didn't have any weirdness at all, especially, in Skagway. It was beautiful. We did a train ride, which I would highly recommend, that goes
Mm.
through the Yukon Trail. It was like 3 hours. You go up, you loop around, you go into Canada, which is crazy. So,
Yeah. Wow.
but it was amazing, beautiful. It's really hard to put into words. I should probably figure out how
Mhm.
to do that. But if you've been thinking about it, try to do it. I will say I loved having a veranda to look out.
I was
I
gonna say
think
this sounds like a cruise that's worth upgrading for, an inside cabin is
yeah,
maybe
I
not the
mean,
cost savings you want to go for.
there was definitely people that would just sit on like deck 4 where the track is and lounge
Sure.
chairs, But I slept with the door open at night,
Oh,
just getting that fresh air, and I couldn't. I
natural
honestly
air
just
conditioning.
yeah, natural air conditioning. I couldn't stop looking at outside because you're so this doesn't go so this is really good information. It doesn't go into open seas. So and
Okay.
also because of Alaska ordinances, it can't go fast. So if you have ever gotten seasick, don't worry
Uh-huh.
about it on this because you are barely moving. When I tell
Right.
you like barely moving
You're
and you're
just
not in open
crawling
waters,
close to shore.
yeah. So
Right.
because I was nervous. It was 7 nights, which is a long time for me.
Mhm.
So just so peaceful, good rhythm if you do get that seasickness. But it was crazy because you're almost always passing land and you have no idea what these little islands are. And I
Yeah.
was obsessed with just looking out and being like, where are we? I don't know
Mm.
where we are. And it kind of was a very freeing feeling,
Yeah.
if that makes
Wow.
sense. Wonderful ship, amazing. I honestly thought this would be a one and done for me, but I'm already talking to my family about going
Yeah.
next year. I'd love to go with like my mom and some other family members, but it was just one of those life-changing trips that you'll always remember.
I would love to go and see the glaciers while there's still some left to see.
Yeah, we did. I will say if you were going to do any excursion, we did the Glacier Day boat where they take you on a baby vessel out to the
Okay.
glacier. It was like the best day of my life. Again,
Wow.
I am not an outdoorsy person.
I was going to say, because that
Eating
sounds, for someone who is nervous about boats, going on a little dinghy out to a glacier sounds pretty adventurous
Yeah, I
for
mean,
you.
I literally would have done anything to do that, and I will
Wow.
totally do it again. I mean, it's just incredible to see it, and I forget what the terminology is, but when the pieces of the glacier fall off,
Calving, I think.
yes,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
We got to see that, and it's so
Oh, man.
loud and just it's crazy. But yeah, these are definitely not going to be
Terrifying.
around for much longer. So
Wow. All right. Well, on that very
yeah,
cheerful note,
sorry.
it's great to have you back.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that you had a great time. I did not have any adventures nearly as exciting as I did. Take a trip out to Anaheim while you were gone, and
Yes, I
I
saw that little house you rented.
that we didn't actually, we just sort of
Oh,
commandeered that. If you ever go out to Disneyland and you want a break from the parks for a day, I highly recommend you can rent a car for like $50 for the day.
yeah, so
Go
cheap.
drive to Crystal Cove.
Yeah,
It's this place on the shore. You've got a section of beach that's nice and sandy, and people go and play in the sand in the water. But you've also got a section of really cool, rugged, rocky beach with lots of sea creatures in the tidal pools. And there are these cabins that were originally built by Japanese Americans before World War II.
wow.
And when during World War II, when they were moved to internment camps, they were
Yeah.
taken away from them. They're now being restored. They're part of the Park Service, and people rent them by the night. There's a huge waiting, like people jump on it as soon as they open up. It's really hard to rent one, but we found one that was unoccupied and just sort
Wow.
of set up on the porch for the day and had a picnic
I was like, wow,
and
this is the life.
chilled out. It was amazing. So I'm a big fan of Crystal Cove. If you need a break from the theme parks in Southern California. And speaking of theme parks, I also in the last week spent a full day at IOA and Universal, a full day at Epic. I spent a day at the Magic Kingdom with a Disney legend, taking a final visit to Tom Sawyer Island, and that's a story that I'm going to have to save for another week. I'll save that for another day. But the one cool thing I just got to do a couple days ago on Friday night, I was there at Spooky Empire when they
Oh, you
announced the
were.
first official original concept haunted house for this year. And I got really excited hearing about this. It's called El Artista. We have an article. We've updated our article about all the Halloween Horror Nights announcements with this. You can go read that at Attractions Magazine. El Artista, a Spanish haunting, 19th century Spain setting. It's in a Gothic manor that's inspired by the architect Gaudi, and it involves an artist who is driven mad by ghosts that come out of his paintings. It's a really cool idea. They showed some really neat concept art of the creatures and the setting. The director of this, he is Latino. The whole cast is Latino, And it's a really exciting idea because the theme of this, one of the rooms in this house is called the conservatory, and that conservatory is kind of a theme that is going to permeate the whole park this year. Laura Sauls said that this is going to be the most immersive Halloween Horror Nights ever, with the theme extending all through the park. And just hearing her and Mike Aiello talk about it in person really made me excited for Halloween Horror Nights this year.
Same. I will tell you, whenever they do either a Spanish or Latin America house, they are the best.
Yeah.
And also the most detailed. Like when I heard this, I was like, how quickly can I book a lights on tour? Because the amount of details in these specific houses is unbelievable.
They specifically talked about the unmasking tour will be perfect for this house because there's so much detail and Easter eggs. And they also mentioned, they gave a shout out to Graveyard Games, which is a classic house from a few years back, saying that they're trying to like almost one up that in terms of the ghost effects, that you're going to see Pepper's ghosts, you're going to see ghosts walking through walls. There are going to be some callbacks to Graveyard Games. And they also hinted that Graveyard Games could come back next year. It's next year's the 35th anniversary, and they're looking to resurrect some classic houses for that. They're also resurrecting today's announcement from last year's Slaughter Cinema 2. If you remember, one of the scenes in that was Hatchet and Chains, the demon bounty hunters. They are getting their own house in an old west town. All hell is breaking loose. Red hot lava demons are trying to possess everyone and melting everything in their path. So this looks like we are going to be getting a haunted house drop maybe every day this week until we have all the originals filled out.
Yes, I did see they tweeted over the weekend, are you ready for a spooky week?
Yep,
So this has to be more than this. I got to tell you, I'm always most excited for the originals. These two off the bat, my hype level is now like a 10.
Yeah.
I will say one thing. I did get a quote for a Rip Tour this year, and the price jump is staggering.
It's steep, yes.
Yeah,
I really think that if there are tickets left for that premium Scream night, snap those up. Because, if you do the math with the food and the ability to not just, have a shorter line, but have a pulsed experience where you're not just going through in a conga line, you're going through in individual groups. I think that premium Scream night is worth every penny, especially seeing, the steep jump that RIP took.
Yes. I will say though, if you do, so that I priced out a private one. If you did want to do just like the regular Rip Tour and you are separate parties, as long as you arrive at the same time, you can kind of group yourself together.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
we discovered that last year was the first year my family was like, let's try to not do a private one and do it. And there was like 8 of us.
Right.
And
so you just sort of commandeer a non-private tour.
Yes. And they were like, whoever wants to come with you. And we found like fun people.
Yeah.
So
all right.
you don't get to select your guide. So that's the one. Our one thing is, our favorite VIP, Paul. I'm sorry, Paul.
Yep.
The price is a little too high this year.
Who knows? Maybe you'll just randomly get assigned to him.
Yes.
It could happen. All right. Well, I think it is time. We have definitely chatted enough. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the news in the queue. All right. As I mentioned, I took a trip to Epic Universe last week, and one of my funniest moments during my trip was watching an older couple walk up to the doors of this restaurant building that is in Celestial Park that has a sign on it that says "Coming in 2026," and watch them grab the door handles and repeatedly try to get in. So apparently there is demand in Celestial Park for new restaurants, which will be coming in 2026.
I mean, my demand is I just want to try more delicious things because everything I've eaten in Celestial Park has been amazing. So
absolutely. I have been going back not just for the attractions and testing out my touring plans for my upcoming book, By the way, number one tip is even if you don't have early entry, you get into the park as the same time as early entry people. And when they're rope dropping towards Super Nintendo World, you go straight for Ministry of Magic.
And they're
And
still queuing you, right? Like you could still get in that queue.
not just queuing you, but if the park officially opens at 10 a.m., Ministry of Magic is up and running by 9:30ish.
Yeah.
And single rider line at Ministry of Magic, yes, it has a phenomenal queue. Yes, there's a wonderful higgledy animatronic that you will miss. But you get to go through the Metro Flu, you get to see the big lobby, you get to see a couple of the other rooms. And I got into the queue at 9:30. I was out of the building by 10 a.m.
That's incredible.
Other people who got into standby at the same time I got into single rider never got to ride because they waited an hour and a half before the first breakdown of the day. The ride rarely makes it more than 2 or 3 hours without having a breakdown. So if you want to ride it, ride Ministry of Magic first thing. Or your other option is to wait to the very end of the day, but beware if it's a 9 p.m. closing and it's a 75-minute wait, they're going to close that line off by 8:45. Subtract an hour from whatever the wait is, and that's how much before 9 o'clock you can count on them cutting it off. So make sure you don't cut it too close.
If that's your priority, I mean, absolutely.
If it's your priority, I would say do it. Honestly, using early entry, I stayed at a hotel for the night. I was able to do Frankenstein, Werewolf, and one other attraction before 9:30 a.m. Got into the single rider, was out by 10 a.m. and was then off of Stardust Racers before 11 a.m. So I'd basically done all the highlights of the park. One warning: Minecart Madness is no longer part of early entry, so do not try running into Donkey Kong Country because you will just find a long line of people waiting there.
Yeah.
All right. So back to food.
Yes.
Other than the attractions, my number one thing has been going around and trying all the food. And Celestial Park alone has some really fantastic options. Even the snack stands. They have a smoked carrot dog on an ube bun that I loved. And they also have a purple... it's like a bao.
I had that, and it was, I
bun
think, one of my favorite theme park snacks of all
vegetable,
time.
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But what they need is more indoor places to eat. Pizza Moon gets absolutely overwhelmed because it's comfort
I will
food,
say,
food that people understand, and it's air conditioned.
Right. Meteor Pub, which is a bar restaurant. You could sit at the bar and eat too. I'm not a burger. My friend got a burger. I took a bite of it. It was like the best burger I ever had.
It was really I
Really
describe them as like a TGI Fridays died and gone to heaven. It's that American bar comfort food, but it's elevated for theme park standards for sure. But there are two cuisines that are kind of noticeably missing from the park right now. And from concept art we've seen and hints I've been given by my co-author, Alicia Stella, over at Orlando Park Stop, we are most likely looking at an Italian restaurant and a Mexican restaurant together inside one building. I think originally the plan this was going to be full service, but I think it's going to end up being the kind of modified table service that they've been using.
I love that concept. It is great. It's perfect.
It's been working really well for me. I understand if people have a lot of modifications or things that they can't just do through the mobile app, that it can be frustrating. But for me, as long as you're sticking with the options in the mobile app, I love that I can sit down at a table, someone brings me my food, and then I'm still not having to tip them.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there is a register, so if you do have someone needs, you got to be careful. Go up to the register. They've been helpful because I totally have done that before. But I do love the mobile app if you're just ordering as is.
Yeah. So this building, it's been on the plans from the start. Right now, it's not built out inside as far as we know. Utilities and stuff, but not completed. And it was marked on blueprints as phase 2 dining. So I think there's a good chance that this could be the first expansion of Epic Universe that we see actually opening. I think it could be early in next year.
I definitely think the Italian thing is gonna be part of what it is, at least, because they've had that Aperol Spritz cart right there.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
So I'm like, ooh, that's like
I,
definitely a tease. There's gonna be an Aperol Spritz bar inside.
I think more than teas, I think we're going to see food carts outside of that location,
Mhm.
kind of test marketing items that might eventually show up inside for sure.
Yeah.
And also, after this, I think the next expansion, you see this this location here is, before you, on the right hand side of Celestial Park, after you get past the entrance plaza, but before you get to How to Train Your Dragon. On the opposite side of the park, if you kind of mirror that on the left side, in between the Moonship Candy Shop and Super Nintendo World, there's a big grass spot that has very recently been cleared and graded, and there's permits and project numbers. So that looks to be the next thing that we'll see added to Celestial Park. And the best guess is that's going to be some kind of theater or event space, some kind of multi-use flex space that maybe could support special events, seasonal events. So we will see. Anyway, we've already got 16 places to eat in Celestial Park. We've got a rundown of all of them in this article. And I haven't really had a terrible meal there yet.
No. I gotta say, I had a beautiful meal at Blue Dragon. It was
Oh yeah,
amazing. I mean, everything I've ever had there has been so good. The Atlantic, I mean,
yep,
I have no complaints.
yep. And okay, so next up, right down the street, SeaWorld has debuted its first drone show. They've added shapes of marine animals to their Club Seaglow summer nighttime atmosphere. So if you want to see a whale glowing flying through the sky, or an octopus or jellyfish, check out this performance that's illuminating the skies above Bayside Stadium.
Yes, I saw incredible feedback from this from the
Yeah.
people that had went. It looks amazing.
Yeah, I missed the media preview for this, but I did get to see SeaWorld's fireworks the other night.
Ooh,
Here's a hot tip for you. If you go to Bar Helios over at the Helios Grand Hotel, it's a little bit of a pain in the neck because the self-parking costs $125. So you've got to go upstairs. Yeah, oh, that's it. But if you spend $75 at the bar, then
which is very easy to do.
yes, because the drinks are like $24 a piece. If you spend $75 on the bar, you can validate. And from up there, you can not only see the fountain show in Epic Universe, which is happening at 9 o'clock each night. You can also watch the fireworks show at SeaWorld happening at the exact same time. And that was a really cool experience. I've seen the fountain show in Epic several times facing towards Helios, but when you're facing the other way and you get fireworks in the background and you can see all the lights and how it's not just that central fountain in front of the hotel, but goes through all the fountains all the way up to the Kronos at the front of the park. That's one of the coolest nighttime spectacular experiences there's there. And you should also be able to see the drone show. The drone show doesn't happen during the fireworks because that could probably be messy, I guess. But it happens, I guess, beforehand.
Amazing. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I've stayed at Stella Nova now a few times because the AP rates are like amazing. And each time I've had a theme park view, but the theme park view has been SeaWorld. I crack up every time.
Yeah,
it's literally right there.
It's funny you mentioned that. I stayed at Stella Nova this week because the air conditioning in my house broke, and it was 85 degrees and 85% humidity. And I jumped on searching for, cheap hotel rooms near me. I live near the airport. You'd think I'd be able to find.
Yeah, like Lake Nona has some good ones. Yeah.
Stella Nova was cheaper than any of the other cheap hotels near my house. So I'm like, all right, I guess we're staying at Universal for the night.
Hey, and it's wonderful. I mean, I love it. I'm a big fan of the budget resorts at Universal. So happy to have a new option.
And speaking of Universal and drones, we also mentioned this article that the drones are back in Cinesational. I was there on the night that they made their return. It was very unexpected. I was not planning on seeing drones, and then they showed up, and the audience went wild. So it's great to see them fully back in the show. It's a good show without the drones, but the drones definitely add something. Yep. All right. Next, we're heading to one of your favorite places on Earth, and I'm going to let you try to fill us in on it because I'm very vague on exactly what's happening here. Dollywood has announced a new ride for 2026. They kicked off their 40th anniversary celebration back in March, and they have been dropping hints about a new ride. Only thing we really know is that it's indoor. It's the biggest attraction that they've ever done, and it's a revolution experience unlike anything else anywhere in the world. So fill me in. What do you think is going on here at Dollywood?
Yes. So we have seen some hints. I believe over the weekend on socials, they posted something that was like aviation themed. So that is kind of the direction we're going in. Number two, I think they realize that weather is obviously a major issue in East Tennessee, and a lot of the attractions, all the coasters and whatnot, have to shut down when weather. It happens obviously frequently, rain, whatnot. So I am thrilled, as many others are, that this is going to be entirely indoors from what they have said. So that means when it's raining and storming and thundering as Tennessee does, it will still continue to be open. Eugene, the park's president, has described it as the single largest expansion in Dollywood history, and it's going to tie into the Smoky Mountains. So this is going to continue the story of Wildwood Grove, which is that new land expansion where the most recent family coaster opened. So I'm thinking indoor dark ride, Soarin' situation. That is kind of the word on the street for now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really curious. Is this going to be, I don't think Dollywood was known for their entertainment, for the roller coasters. I don't think they're known for big indoor Disney style dark rides. So that would be a major step for them. Or as you said, it could be a simulator since they're hinting at that aerial aeronautic theme.
Yes, my hope is a dark ride that tells the story of the Smoky Mountains, but that's just because I love dark rides.
But they've said things like, he says it will do things that no other indoor attraction in the world does. So that says to me this is not just an off the shelf. They're not purchasing, a simulator attraction that has been installed somewhere else in the world. That this should be not just a unique theme, but a unique hardware, and a new unique ride platform.
Which, I mean, it could be, a theater style thing, and it could just be like the newest version of it, because we have seen that technology progress, obviously, with those regional attractions. Like there's flyovers everywhere now. And those new versions of Soarin' are really incredible if you ever get a chance to see them. But I'm hoping for something more. Nothing wrong with them, but I'm hoping for something else.
Well, this new ride is going to join the 8 other attractions that are currently in Wildwood Grove. The most recent one was a Big Bear Mountain, I believe, which opened back in 2023. It's a great family coaster, and I can't wait to see what this one ends up being.
Yes, me too. And then they did with Big Bear, they kind of dropped a lot of hints along the way. So I think they're going to do the same thing. They have a great team that teases that. I'm going next month. Which will be my first visit this year, which is crazy because usually,
you're usually there all the time.
I lie. Yeah, I was here in January. But I'm going next month, so I'm going to do some sleuthing.
Excellent. Yes, you will hunt around for us and report back. All right, for our last piece of news in the queue, talking about revolutionary ride systems, Mack Ride has debuted their first rocking boat ride system at Futuroscope Park. This is in France. And this is an amazing ride system that I am really hoping comes to Orlando in the not too distant future. This is a combination of a water coaster and a whitewater rafting ride that goes forwards and backwards. It goes up an elevator. It has drops. It has splashes. And for a park in France, it has absolutely amazing theming. We've got a full review up here, and we've got video. So I encourage you to check this out. What do you think of this new ride system.
Oh, when I saw the word rocking, I was like getting nauseous just reading it. I mean, I'm sure it's probably smooth, but when I hear rocking, I'm like, oh Lord, do I want to rock on a water
Right.
ride? I will
Well,
try it for sure.
well, the interesting thing about having watched a bunch of POVs and off-ride, the way this works is you've got basically a roller coaster track that can be either above the water or under the surface of the water, and then you've got a boat that's attached to it. And we've seen things like this at Journey to Atlantis,
Yep.
but the difference is that there's this kind of hinged, jointed sway bar that loosely connects the track on the bottom to the boat on top. So if it's up out of the water, it can work just like a roller coaster car. But if it's in the water, it can sort of float semi-freely. It doesn't look like it sways a lot left to right. It looks like it's mostly dipping forward and backwards. So, as you're going through rapids and splashing, you're not rigidly connected to the track. It can float more like one of those whitewater rapid rides. And the neat thing about it is it's not just floating with gravity. We've seen in the how it can use linear induction motors to push you forward, and then you roll backwards, and then you go uphill. It really looks like creates the possibilities of, let's say, a Creature of the Black Lagoon, dark ride. If you put this whole thing in a box and put some animatronics around it, I can definitely see this coming to an Orlando park for sure.
Definitely. So it seems like it just mimics what it really feels like to whitewater raft, as opposed to being a very
Yeah,
yeah.
Exactly. It's kind of taking combining the log flume with the circular, Popeye style raft rides, and kind of giving you the best of both worlds and letting you transition between those two kind of feelings. So I am super excited to see this come somewhere in the States. We've seen several Mack Rides over at Epic already, so Universal's obviously got a good relationship with them.
Bring it on.
And the theming on this one, you don't have a lot of special effects or video or anything, but you do have a really well done queue. It's all got a Bermuda Triangle theme. So it looks like they did a great job here in Futuroscope, and I'm sure they could do an even better job if they brought it over here to the States. So read our full review of this attraction and check out the video we've got. All right. Well, that is going to bring us to the end of the news in the queue. Before we jump into this week's main attraction, it's time to hear a word from our sponsor.
The Attractions Podcast is brought to you by MEI and MEI-Travel. Whether your next vacation is a magical trip to the theme parks, an exciting adventure to the pyramids of Egypt, or just a relaxing cruise on the turquoise waters of the Bahamas, MEI-Travel provides premium service and expert advice to help you get the most of your vacation. They are always free of any hidden fees or costs to you. Visit them at MEI-Travel.com.
It's time for the main attraction.
All right. For this week's main attraction, we're headed to Walt Disney World, where Epcot has finally announced the grand reopening of Test Track, otherwise known as Test Track 3.0. Mark your calendars, make your annual pass reservations for July 22nd. Because that's the day we will see this new version of Test Track presented by Chevrolet, which harkens back to the original World of Motion.
Love it.
Very excited to see, the Tron track had its time. Some of those projections and stuff were kind of nifty when 15 years ago, I guess, but now that we've got the Tron roller coaster, we don't really need that in Epcot. What we do need is a throwback to actual physical sets, and kind of a harkening back to the original Epcot pavilion feel. So the spirit of optimism, as they call it.
I love it, and I am feeling optimistic about this. I'm with you. I was so over last version of Test
Mhm.
Track. I was like, I don't want to do this. My family always loved it. It would make me go on it. And I want something that's a little bit more nostalgic feeling. And
Yep.
I feel like this is going to be it.
Yeah. The scene that I am most looking forward to seeing, I think, is this one here. It is the hairpin turn section of the ride, where you would just sort of be in blackness with some kind of neon outline triangle trees and going around corners. And all of that black warehouse is now filled in with lush trees. It looks like a simulated sunset peeking through. There's even a waterfall, so it looks like a mix of really detailed physical sets with maybe some video screens to extend, make it look even deeper. But this is what I'm looking for. I'm excited. I've got my reservation for the 22nd. I'm sure it will be a madhouse, but it will have a single rider line, so hopefully that will cut into it a little.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, just anything that gives us a little throwback to old OG
Mhm.
Epcot makes me really happy.
Yeah, the original World of Motion, if you are too young to remember, was one of these slow moving rides where you go through all these tableaus, kind of following the evolution of the history of transportation, but all these Mark Davis characters who were very goofy, involved in these humorous situations. It was corny, but it was so charming, and there was so much detail. You could ride that over and over again and see new things every time. And I know that because one time when I was a kid in the mid 80s, I was on the ride with my family and my mother's contact lens fell out. And that was back when contact lenses were extremely expensive. You didn't just
Yeah.
buy another one. So we rode that about 7 times in a row while she tried to look for her contact lens.
What an amazing memory.
Burned, it's fun to be free. Burned into
Yes.
my brain.
It's fun to see too.
Yeah, I'm hoping maybe there will be some musical throwbacks in there. I'm also curious to see what will happen in the queue. Will we still be building a car, designing a car in the queue? Is there still going to be that kind of pre-show? I'm fascinated to see what's been going on in there. So
Yes. I hope not. I did not like that designing a car. I think I've had the same car for the last 10 years.
it
I
was
do not want to do this.
it was fun to do the very first time.
Yeah.
My hack for that was always you go in through the exit into
Yeah.
the post show, and they have the same computer set up there. You can tap your magic band, design a car, and then you go back around through the single rider line, and that car stays on your magic
Yeah.
band. And so you
Forever.
don't have to wait
Yeah.
you don't have to wait and stand by to design a car. You can just shortcut it that way. But
Yeah.
we'll have to see what's even in the post show. Who knows? Maybe they'll bring back the bird and the robot.
Oh.
That's a deep cut.
Yes. Yeah, I'm
First
definitely thinking
Kuka Aroba arm in a
yes.
theme
Since
park. Yeah.
they've definitely leaned into the world of motion, there has to be some really good Easter eggs. Maybe not even Easter eggs, obvious.
I'm
nods.
hoping for
Yeah.
sure. As we said, this is officially debuting on July 22nd. Would not be shocked if there are some soft openings in the days before then.
Yes,
But it's
I
going to
do
be
have a few. There are cast member previews. I have a few.
yes, they're
It
cast member previews.
was like so hard to get it, so the hype is really there.
Yep.
For it. So I cannot wait for those.
And this is going to be a busy week for Walt Disney World because remember, the 20th is the official debut day of the new Disney Nighttime Parade that is opening over at Magic Kingdom. We did get some news about that one. It's going to be running at 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. Nightly, at least for right now, with the fireworks in between at 10 p.m. And the big change is the parade route is going to be running from Main Street towards the back of the park instead of the other way around. I think that'll help them clear the guests out, especially after the second show. So we'll see if that helps traffic flow any.
Yes. No.
Either way, it's going to be.
Yeah.
I got my reservation for the 20th, and I'm actually a little frightened. It's going to be a madhouse.
No, it's definitely going to be a madhouse because it looks amazing.
Yep. All right. Well, that just about brings us to the end of this week's episode. Before we go, let us take a look back at some of the comments that you folks left us. Carmine Dinosaur was in a little late, but welcome. Glad you made it. Michael Bingham got his fingers crossed for a WWE wrestling haunted house for
Ooh.
HHN. I know that has been strongly rumored. He's also looking forward to going to Epic sometime next month or August. Good luck with that. He's bringing up. I mentioned Pizza Moon. There's been some
Saga.
controversy lately that their Pizza Moon is not offering pizza boxes to go. The only pizza box I'm aware of that they ever offered was the kind of collectible one that was supposed to come with the brownie dessert, which I think they ran out of even before media preview. Most theme park restaurants do not offer to-go boxes for the simple fact,
especially at quick service.
Yes, especially at quick service. For the simple fact that food ends up in lockers and on benches and or in hotel room fridges at the best. The percentage of people who actually eat their leftovers from a theme park is vanishingly small. I know with Helios, right there, it's tempting. If you've got a hotel room, you'd be like, I can just take it back to my hotel. But yeah, I wouldn't count on the thing that I'm more upset about at Pizza Moon. I don't know whether it's ingredient shortages or what, but they dropped a bunch of my favorite pizzas, including
the mushroom.
The mushroom.
Yeah.
I hope that one comes back. The Harvest Moon, the pizza, the vegan one is also off the menu right now. I'm going to keep checking on that, and I hope that one does come back.
When you talk about to-go food at a theme park, I just start gagging because the heat, I mean, that is like a health code violation.
Well, that's the thing. They don't want to, they can control what temperature and everything that the food is when they hand it to you. 3 hours later, when it's been sitting in your bag, and if someone gets sick, then,
Right. And we know how people operate. I hate to say it, but that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. I will say I did dine at Blue Dragon and I got a to-go box, but that's a table service restaurant.
Table service, yes.
Different scenario. I think if people are just a little confused because, Pizza Moon and these fast casuals feel almost like a table service experience. So I think they're just expecting some of that, but it's not. And you don't want cheese that's in 110-degree heat.
No.
Throw it out.
I mean, I know that Via Napoli does to-go boxes, but they also are a much higher price point, and they're a table service kind of restaurant. So, all right. Well, we if we get any more information about the great Pizza Moon debate, we'll be sure to let you know. And I did want to make one brief correction before we went. Last week, when Blake and I were talking about the Fast and Furious roller coaster out in Hollywood, I mentioned that they unveiled the ride car, and I suggested that you go and get a picture with it. It looks like they only unveiled it for close-up photos during the media event. It's out there. You can take a picture from a distance, but it's blocked off, so you can't go and get a picture sitting in it just yet. I guess you're going to have to wait for the test seat to officially open when that ride opens next year.
Yes, I can't wait.
All right. Well, before we go, we want to thank once again our sponsors, MEI and MEI-Travel. And I also want to give a quick shout out to our Epic Universe magazine.
Our Epic Universe magazine is the ultimate grand opening souvenir for Orlando's newest theme park. It's got 64 pages of photos, vacation planning advice, and behind-the-scenes secrets from all 5 portals: Super Nintendo World, Dark Universe, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, and Celestial Park. It's not every day a new theme park opens in Orlando, so mark the moment and celebrate history with the Attractions Magazine Epic Universe Grand Opening issue, now available at attractionsmagazine.com.
All right, I got my copy. Make sure you go and get yours. I also want.
What did you write in there?
I had an article with tips and tricks for touring the park. And some of them are even still accurate. With a magazine, you've got to write something, months before it comes out. So it was, based on the best information that we had on time. Obviously, things change operationally, but I don't think there's anything in there that'll steer you too wrong.
No.
I want to remind everyone, please give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to us. Give us a like and subscribe here on our YouTube channel. And please be sure to follow us at Attractions Magazine and search Attractions Magazine on your favorite social media platforms. Carly, where can folks find you on the socials?
Yes, I am on Instagram at Adventures by Carly.
And I am out there at Escobursky and at The Unofficial Guides. And of course, you can pick up copies of my unofficial guide books at theunofficialguides.com. And until next week, we hope you folks stay safe, try something new, but most importantly, have fun. We will see you again next time.
Yes.